This is Roger from priceoftravel.com, and in this video I'm going to show you 16 great destinations that are cheap and have really pleasant warm weather in the months of January and February. If you've seen my similar video for December, you'll recognize quite a few of these, but there are a bunch of new and different ones in this video, including quite a few that you've probably never heard of before, and of course the hotel prices and weather data are different as well. Once again, we will start close to the US and Canada and go south and then east from there, with the ones at the end being the cheapest and the most exotic places on the list. It's definitely worth noting that many people have the week after New Year's off, so that week will be the most expensive and most crowded in all of these places, so you can go any other time in January or February and you'll get better deals and smaller crowds. As you might guess, the cheapest place with warm Januaries close to the US is the Caribbean, and we will start in Mexico. For most people in the US and Canada, you'll find the shortest and cheapest flights into Cancun, which is on the Caribbean in Mexico's Yucatan Peninsula. It's a huge area with hundreds of large hotels and resorts right on the beaches, and you can find all-inclusive resorts starting at under $250 per couple, including tax, meals, and alcohol. By the way, the hotel prices you'll be seeing on the screen as we go are for a full week at the end of January, including taxes in each place. If you can get by with a hotel at least a bit off the beach, you can find something for under $100 per night, even in high season like in January and February. If you aren't in the mood for an all-inclusive hotel, I highly recommend booking a hotel in Playa del Carmen, which is about an hour south of the airport. Unlike Cancun itself, it's a really fun town filled with restaurants, bars, shops, beaches, and countless activities at good prices. The weather in January and February is pretty much perfect with warm days and nights. You might also get a few rainstorms each week, but they almost always come and go within 20 minutes this time of year. If you want to stay in a really nice all-inclusive resort and you don't mind flying a bit farther, your best bet if you're an American is the Dominican Republic, which is home to about 200 all-inclusive resorts. Room rates start at around $200 per night for two people, including tax, but this is the high season and it's probably worth paying a bit more for a nicer place. For under $300 per night, you can get something you'll be really happy with, and it'll include all of your food and alcohol and most of your entertainment. The Punta Cana area has most of the resorts, as well as a busy and efficient airport, so it's easy to get in and out. The weather in these months is perfect, and you probably won't get any rain at all. By the way, if you aren't an American, you can get even cheaper all-inclusive resorts in Cuba, although some people say the quality standards are a bit lower as well. If you prefer sunny beaches with a large and really cool city attached, your best bet in January is San Juan, Puerto Rico. They have great sandy beaches along most of the city itself, and they've also got an amazing historic area known as Old San Juan, as well as great restaurants, shopping, and nightlife. Americans don't even need a passport or to change money. Beach hotels in San Juan will start at around $150 per night in those months, and there are no all-inclusive resorts, but the best and cheapest option for many people is to book an apartment or Airbnb for a week or so. You can find them starting at around $100 per night in the area around Condado, which is my favorite area because it's close to Old San Juan as well. Again, the weather should be amazing this time of year, even if you get an afternoon thunderstorm every few days. San Juan is a great city to rent an apartment for a week or two and relax in the sun and explore the town. If you're starting in the western part of the US or Canada, you should instead consider Puerto Vallarta, which is kind of a combination of the places I've already mentioned. There are hundreds of beach hotels and resorts running up and down the coast from the town center, but the town center itself is a really fun and interesting area with great restaurants and nightlife, along with some pretty decent beaches in some areas. Choosing the right hotel here is important because many of them are not close to other restaurants and shopping areas. You can find pretty nice hotels with pools not far from the beach for under $100 per night in high season. The January and February weather is perfect day and night as it's warm and dry every day without ever getting too hot. There's an area of town called the Romantic Zone that is becoming quite trendy, but the best budget options will be at least a bit north or south of the center. If you aren't looking for a beach and you'd like a destination that has warm days in January and February, you should definitely consider Mexico City. If you're like me, you probably assumed it was overcrowded and run down, but it's actually one of the coolest and most interesting cities in the Americas. The historic area around the cathedral feels a lot like Europe, and then not far from that are posh neighborhoods crammed with museums, shopping malls, outdoor artworks, and great restaurants. They have really interesting pyramids just a bit out of town and plenty of other interesting sites that are unique to the area. Knowing some Spanish will be helpful, but if you travel with a smartphone, you can easily get by with just English. Again, it won't be really hot in those months, and the evenings will be a bit chilly, but Mexico City is a place you should visit, and the weather is pretty good all year round. You can find a pretty nice hotel for under $50 per night early in the year, and you can get something really nice for under $100. Food and entertainment are bargains as well. Speaking of low budgets, Cartagena, Colombia might be the best value destination in the entire Caribbean. Similar to San Juan, it's got a really interesting and impressive walled colonial historic district at its heart, and pretty decent beaches with nice hotels just a few miles away. It's easy to stay on the beach and visit the historic district or vice versa, as both areas have surprisingly cheap hotels. You can find a room in a pretty nice place on the beach starting at around $60 per night in these months. This is one of the few Caribbean beach areas that you can still find a $1 beer and cheap snacks from food carts around town. It's definitely a place to check out at least once, and the weather is dry and perfect in January and February. Cartagena is definitely a bit rough around the edges, so it's important to adjust your expectations if you're looking for a cheap Caribbean holiday, but all of my adventurous friends love the place. Argentina is definitely a place to consider in January and February because those are summer months, so you can expect warm temperatures and long days in Buenos Aires and the other tourist areas there. Unlike the rest of Latin America, Argentina feels very European, and Buenos Aires in particular feels like it could be in Spain. You can find good hotels in BA online starting at around $60 per night, but there's a way of paying much less. You can also spend a couple of days in the Argentine wine region called Mendoza, and it's a fairly short flight once you're there. They also have a fun and popular mountain area in the south called Bariloche that feels much more like Germany than Spain or South America. You could easily spend 2 great and cheap weeks in Argentina, including a visit to the amazing Iguazu Falls on the border with Brazil. Definitely one of the weirdest and coolest things about Argentina is that it's pretty cheap for foreigners, and it's insanely cheap if you can bring new US dollars or euros and exchange them while you are there. Research the Argentina blue dollar and you can literally double your money. It sounds sketchy, but it's not. If you're looking for more of a beach holiday in South America, then it's easiest to go to Rio de Janeiro. Honestly, it's the most beautiful city I've ever seen, with amazing views from pretty much every angle. The weather in these months will be warm day and night, and you might get a quick shower or two, but they typically end in 20 minutes or so. Seeing Christ the Redeemer and Sugarloaf Mountain in person are worth the trip, but honestly the main attraction is the beach culture, with the sunbathers and athletes all showing off. Hotels in Copacabana and Ipanema beaches can be surprisingly cheap even this time of year, as long as you avoid the Rio Carnival, which is February 9th to the 17th in 2024. This is also not the safest city in the world, so it's important to do some research and be careful while you are there, but it's definitely worth a visit if it looks and sounds interesting to you. Now let's cross the Atlantic Ocean and look for cheap and warm places for those closer to Europe. Continental Europe stays pretty chilly in January and February, but the Canary Islands just off the coast of northern Africa are warm enough for hardy beachgoers, especially those from northern Europe. They're part of Spain and very popular all year round, so they're easy to reach and easy to visit even if you only speak English. Tenerife is the largest of the Canary Islands and the most popular one with English speakers. The temperatures along its southern beaches are usually even a bit warmer than the averages, so you can get some sunbathing in if you're determined, and at least the weather will be much better than it is back home. In spite of all of this, the Canary Islands are surprisingly cheap, with very good value hotels with pools near the beach at very good prices. There are also happy hours and drink specials all over, so you can eat and drink for cheap even if you skip the all-inclusive resorts. Another option for adventurous types is Egypt's popular Red Sea beach resort of Sharm el-Sheikh, with clear waters and some of the best scuba diving spots in the world. The weather in these months is warm and dry, but not really hot, so it won't be for everyone. I've yet to make it to Sharm el-Sheikh, but it looks really interesting and it's well loved by many Europeans who go back every year. Beach hotels are very cheap, and all-inclusive resorts here start at under $100 per night, although that won't include alcohol, so it could be a great value for teetotalers. This is a popular resort area all year round and could be a very interesting option for scuba divers and water sports enthusiasts looking for something different. The only other one on this list that I've yet to visit, Cape Town is the main tourism hub for South Africa, and it's also got dry and warm summer weather in these months. Many of my friends have been to Cape Town and pretty much everyone raves about it. They've got beaches and the popular Table Mountain tram, along with shopping, nightlife, and great restaurants. The flight is going to be a long one for just about anyone watching this, but people also agree that Cape Town is weirdly cheap these days, with hotels and most everything else feeling like a real bargain while you're there. If you can find an affordable flight, this one could be worthwhile this time of year. By the way, this video is based on articles we've been updating for over a decade with the best cheap places to travel in each month of the year. So please check out priceoftravel.com for much more, and of course there will be links in the description. Now on to Asia. Definitely the weirdest one on this list is also one I've spent a lot of time in, and I can highly recommend for adventurous cheapskates looking for an unforgettable beach holiday. Goa is a small state in southern India that was run by the Portuguese until 1961, so it's rather unlike anything else in the country. There are about 20 separate small beach towns in Goa, and each one is a bit different. Some of them, including Vagator and Anjuna, have stunning beaches and quirky beach restaurants and bars filled with tourists this time of year. The weather in January and February is warm and dry all day and night, and getting there is fairly easy with a change of planes in Mumbai. Some of the beach towns are popular with Indian families, while others are popular for beach parties and debauchery. Alcohol is not only available, but it's very cheap, which is unusual for India. Hotels and everything else are great value as well, so it's mostly just a matter of finding affordable flights. There's kind of an anything goes vibe on some Goa beaches, so it's something to be seen. Most people watching this video will never have heard of Boracay Island in the Philippines, and that's part of what makes it so cool. Unlike the most popular resort areas in Asia, Boracay still feels old school with almost no chain hotels or major development. The main resort area is White Beach, which is only 2.5 miles long and lined with small hotels that are on the sand or a short walk away. Getting here is a bit complicated, which is the main reason it's not overrun like so many other tropical islands. Almost everyone gets around on the sandy footpath that separates the beach from the hotels because there are no big roads and very few cars. By far the easiest Asian beach resort area to reach from long distances, Phuket is Thailand's largest island, and it has its own busy international airport, so most people don't have to change planes in Bangkok. Phuket is a large island with about 24 beach towns that each have their own vibe, so choosing the best one for you is important. The weather in these months is warm day and night to the point that it can feel pretty hot in the afternoons if you aren't sitting in the ocean breezes or actually in the ocean. Patong Beach is the only big beach town on the island, and it's the place to go if you want to do some shopping or get a massage or mingle with local sex workers, so most people will want to stay somewhere else. There are many big and fancy beach resorts here, but you can find great bargains at smaller hotels and especially those a couple blocks inland. It's similar with food and drinks in that some places are really expensive and a short walk away you can usually find excellent value and high quality. Speaking of Thailand, if you've never been to Asia, the easiest city to reach and to visit is Bangkok, and I highly recommend spending a few days there before or after a stay on one of the beaches or island areas. Bangkok is hot and fairly humid every day of the year, although in these months it's actually fairly pleasant, so it's by far the best time to visit. One reason why Bangkok is the best Asian city for first-timers is that it's got a whole bunch of really amazing temples and monuments and interesting statues that are all fairly close together in the tourist district, so you can see a lot in just a day or two. There are also nearby floating markets and night markets with cheap eats and drinks with entertainment and bargain shopping. And speaking of shopping, the Siem Square area has dozens of large and air-conditioned malls that are close together and easy to reach, so Bangkok is a good place for brand-name fashion shopping as well. Hotels in Bangkok range from suspiciously cheap to very expensive even in high season, but you can seriously get a really nice hotel room in a good area here for well under $50 per night. The food here is excellent as well, and you can still get meals for around $1 each from busy and well-established street stalls. An even cheaper and more exotic place to go after Bangkok is Siem Reap in Cambodia, which is a super pleasant town built near the entrance of the mind-blowing Angkor Wat temple complex. You can fly from Bangkok or take a VIP bus if you like a little bit of adventure. Of course, the main reason to visit Siem Reap is to witness the enormous Angkor Wat temple complex, which is easily the most impressive site in Southeast Asia and one of the most unusual sites in the entire world. The weather in Siem Reap is also a bit nicer than Bangkok because it actually cools off more at night this time of year and there's almost no chance of rain. Pub Street is lined with fun restaurants and bars that compete with happy hour pricing, so local Angkor beer is always under $1 a pint, and they actually use US dollars to make things a bit easier. Hotels in Siem Reap are fantastic bargains, and you can find something decent for around $25 per night and something surprisingly nice for well under $50 per night. There are even small resorts and spas a bit outside of the town center that have a gorgeous pool, and you can treat yourself with some really cheap spa treatments during your stay. Thanks for watching, and again, this is Roger from priceoftravel.com, which has hundreds of articles with information like this and has been going since 2009. Please subscribe to this channel if you like this video, as it is a huge help for new channels like this one.